We saw endless violence, rioting that broke out across the country over the Agnipath scheme on Friday. And over the weekend, the government has made it very clear that there's no question of a rollback of this particular army recruitment scheme. Now, the furor over the scheme is continuing to escalate. There's a call now for a Bharat Bandh. Several organizations have allegedly made calls for a nationwide bandh on social media, and that's why security has been beefed up. According to intel sources, there's a concern that anti-Agnipath protesters could pour into Delhi and target the parliament, target the Prime Minister's residence as well as Rashtrapati Bhavan. A high alert because of this has been sounded in the national capital. Railway police have also directed the GRP and RPF to be on high alert. It's not just in Delhi. The Punjab police has also heightened security across the state. The Railway Police Force's order clearly states that all rioters will be dealt with strictly and will be booked under extremely stringent sections. Police say rumours of the bandh has been rife on social media, which is why they're leaving nothing to chance. In Punjab, security has been beefed up. In Jharkhand, schools have been shut down over the bandh. Uttar Pradesh is also on high alert.
कोई भी उपद्रवी और किसी तरह के असामाजिक तत्व यदि किसी तरह की तोड़फोड़ या कोई भी सरकारी संपत्ति को नुकसान पहुंचाने के लिए आते हैं और किसी तरह का गैर कानूनी कार्य करते हैं तो इस पर सख्त कार्रवाई की जाएगी। इसका प्रचार प्रसार और इसकी सूचना हम लोग लगातार 2 दिनों से दे रहे हैं और सभी अभिभावकों से भी हम लोगों ने अनुरोध किया कि अपने बच्चों को घर में रखें। सभी जनप्रतिनिधि जितने थे उनसे 1 to 1 हमारे थाना प्रभारी और सीओज ने बात किया है कि अहिंसा किसी भी मुद्दे का सॉल्यूशन नहीं है। आप शांतिपूर्वक जो करना है करें, अपने मैसेज को जहां तक पहुंचाना है पहुंचाएं और यदि किसी तरह की कोई भी असामाजिक कार्य किए जाएंगे तो उस पर सख्त कार्रवाई की जाएगी।
जो भारत बंद का जो बोल रहे हैं, जो ट्रेन जला रहा है, ये किसका है? भारत का है। और अगर हम लोग चाहते हैं कि हम लोग अगर हमारा युवा चाहते हैं कि सेना में वो लोग भी शामिल होंगे, वो लोग भी आवेदन करेंगे, वो लोग उनका भी नौकरी होगा, तो क्यों अगर भारत को पसंद करते हैं, भारत को अपना देश मानते हैं, तो भारत का संपत्ति क्यों जलाएंगे वो? इसका मतलब है ये भारत के लिए ये जो सेना का जो उद्देश्य लेकर बोल रहे हैं, ये एक्चुअली उनका नहीं है।
Rohit Singh is joining us live from Patna with the latest updates of what's expected in Bihar. Rohit, the maximum violence that broke out on Friday was in Bihar over the Agnipath scheme. Are there more protests that are planned for today? Are they slotted to happen today? Because Chief Minister Nitish Kumar has cancelled and called off his Janta Darbar. It's led to speculation that it's because of protests by anti-Agnipath agitators.
Well, that's right, Akshita. Bihar witnessed a maximum violence and vandalism on 16th, 17th and 18th during the Agnipath protests. But yesterday, thankfully, was an extremely peaceful day. No protest happened on Sunday and nothing untoward was also reported yesterday. So the administration, however, is geared up for today as they are expecting that if some sort of a protest happens anywhere in the state, they are ready to deal with it. However, as a precautionary measure, the state government has banned internet services in 20 districts today. Remember, a couple of days back, first it was banned in 12 districts, then it was extended to 15 districts, and today it's 20 districts in Bihar where internet services have been banned. So the state government is maintaining and monitoring the situation, keeping a close vigil on the situation on the ground, and forces, police personnel are there on the ground to ensure that nothing untoward happen today. But remains to be seen as the day progresses, are any more protests happening in the state or not, because Bihar has emerged as the epicenter of this entire Agnipath protest in the last 4-5 days, Akshita.
And Rohit, you know, there also were questions that were asked of the Nitish government about whether they did enough to quell the protests on Friday. Give us more details on that. You mentioned security has been beefed up, internet services suspended. Give us more on that, or what's being done right now by the administration to ensure things don't go out of hand.
Well, see, the Agnipath protest has in fact led to an ugly war of words between the two important allies of the NDA, the BJP and the JDU. We saw that how several BJP leaders' houses were attacked during the violence that took place. Sanjay Jaiswal, the state BJP president's house in Betia was attacked. Deputy Chief Minister Renu Devi's house was attacked in Betia. So after that, an ugly war of words has started with the BJP leaders, some BJP leaders hitting out at the Nitish Kumar government that the police was present on the ground, but they did not do anything to protect the BJP leaders or their houses. So that's the war of words that has begun. The JDU is also hitting back at the BJP over all these allegations that are being made. So what we are seeing on the ground is that though Agnipath protest is happening in the state, but this agitation has also led to ugly bickering between the two important allies, the BJP and the JDU.
Okay, Rohit, we're going to be tracking all the latest updates that come in from Bihar. Right now, in Patna also, you see the situation where there is, in fact, a calm right now, but there is a lot of security on the ground. There's a shutdown call in several parts of the country as well, which is why you see a completely deserted look right now in parts of Patna as well. A high alert has also been sounded in the national capital. Intel agencies have flagged off concerns that protesters, anti-Agnipath protesters, could storm into the national capital. The scenes of what happened during the farm agitation and how things went completely out of control in Delhi is still fresh in our minds. And amid that, there are warnings that these protesters may gather in large numbers in Delhi, could target Parliament, could target the Prime Minister's residence as well as Rashtrapati Bhavan. And that's why a high alert has been sounded at all Delhi borders. This is an India Today exclusive news break. We understand that there is now a lot more checking at Delhi's borders, at checkpoints to ensure that these protesters do not gather in large numbers and thereby lead to a security nightmare in the national capital. Shreya Chatterjee is joining us live with more details on this. Shreya, take us through the steps that are being taken right now by agencies to ensure the protesters don't gather in large numbers in the national capital.
Well, absolutely so, Akshita. You know, we saw that there is an alert that's been sounded over the possibility of people actually flocking the national capital to protest, especially over the Agnipath scheme, and that could happen from the places across the, Delhi region, say, for example, Haryana and Uttar Pradesh, and that's the reason we've seen an extremely tight security in the borders today that's also resulted in a traffic menace. And now, I will just show you that it's not just the borders that's been actually tightly secured. It's also all these crucial points that have been secured. For example, the roads leading to AICC as well as the roads leading to ED. There have been double barricading put at all these points. Also, because of the fact, you remember last time when Rahul Gandhi was also questioned, tires were burnt on these very streets, and that's the reason Delhi police today does not want any untoward incident to take place. There's also, high security around the Jantar Mantar region. The fact that the Congress has decided to stage their protest in Jantar Mantar, in and around that area as well, there is a high security that's been put in place. So Delhi police in a way has actually turned the entire capital into a fortress today. They are checking at all entry and exit points, and obvious to say that's also led to an extremely difficult traffic situation in the capital today.
Okay, we're going to be tracking the latest updates on this as well. But security being heightened now, we understand at several entry points into the national capital, there is a lot more barricading that's been put up to ensure that everyone who enters in any suspicious activity is immediately checked. We're cutting across live now to a Congress briefing by leader Agneepath.
लेकिन जैसे ही भाजपा में गए तो ये ग्लो एंड लवली स्कीम के तहत उनके ऊपर ये क्रीम लगी और वो पाक साफ हुए और उनको ठीक हो गए। सोमेन मित्रा जी जब तक टीएमसी में थे मुकदमे चल रहे थे और जैसे ही पार्टी छोड़ी उनके ऊपर ईडी का सारे के सारे तरीके से माफ हो गया। रमन सिंह के पता भी नहीं कि भी क्या ईडी के केस चल रहे हैं या नहीं चल रहे। मुकुल रॉय जी जब तक टीएमसी में थे ईडी के प्रेशर में, लेकिन जैसे ही बीजेपी में गए फेयर एंड लवली स्कीम में उनके ऊपर क्रीम लगी और ठीक हो गए। तो ये सारी की सारी चीजें इस बात को साबित करता है कि केवल और केवल सरकार के खिलाफ ना बोलने के लिए या भाजपा के अंदर शामिल होने के लिए इन एजेंसीज का, जांच एजेंसीज का इस्तेमाल हो रहा है और कांग्रेस पार्टी इसकी तीव्र निंदा करती है। दूसरा बहुत महत्वपूर्ण इसी के बारे में हम कहना चाहते हैं
हमारे लीगल डिपार्टमेंट के तरफ से विवेक तनखा जी ने एक पत्र निर्मला सीतारमण जी को, अमित शाह और किरण रिजिजू को नोटिस भेजा है। ये हम आपको अभी इसके साथ में लगा करके देंगे। इसमें यह कहा गया है कि जिस प्रकार से ईडी के दफ्तर से सिलेक्टिव लीकेज करी जा रही है, झूठी और चयनात्मक खबरों को प्लांट करके कांग्रेस पार्टी के और हमारे नेताओं की छवि को धूमिल करने का प्रयास किया जा रहा है, ये पूरी तरीके से गैर कानूनी। इसके अंदर इन्होंने बताया है कि कैसे सेक्शन 66 पीएमएलए का ये इजाजत नहीं देता कि सिलेक्टिव लीकेज करी जाए, और इसके अंदर जिन चैनल्स में और जहां पर सोशल मीडिया के अंदर अलग अलग जगहों के ऊपर ईडी के माध्यम से लीक करी जा रही खबरें, उसका भी जिक्र इसके अंदर किया गया है। मैं चाहूंगा कि आप लोग इसको भी जरूर देखें। और अलग अलग बातें, जैसे कि राहुल गांधी नॉट कोऑपरेटिंग विद एनफोर्समेंट डायरेक्टरेट, ही पॉज्ड, डिडंट रिस्पॉन्ड टू अ नंबर ऑफ क्वेश्चंस, फिर वर नॉट satisfactory, the answers were not satisfactory, and it appeared that he was tutored by his lawyers on how to answer and avoid certain aspects, sources said. तो ये सोर्सेस के माध्यम से कहां से इनके पास में सब चीजें आ दी। हम लोगों ने कहा है कि अगर आप इतना ही दिखाना चाहते हैं तो वहां पर एक कैमरा लगा दीजिए, उसको लाइव टेलीकास्ट करिए, 30 घंटे लाइव टेलीकास्ट, लाइव फीड लीजिए, वहां से देखिए कि भी किस तरीके से वहां पर क्वेश्चंस, उनके पास कुछ पूछने को ही नहीं। तो जो सिलेक्टिव लीकेज करके जो ये मीडिया को दिया जा रहा है और अपनी तरीके से नैरेटिव बिल्ड करने की कोशिश करी जा रही है, ये गैर कानूनी है। सुप्रीम कोर्ट ने, हाई कोर्ट ने अलग अलग इसके अंदर जिक्र किया गया है कि कहां कहां पे इस तरीके की लीकेजेस के खिलाफ बोला है, और हम सरकार को ये कहना चाहते हैं कि अपनी एजेंसीज को समझाएं और ये सिलेक्टिव लीकेजेस बंद करें, और ये पूरी तरीके से इन्वेस्टिगेशन को प्रभावित करने की एक कोशिश करी जा रही है। और तीसरा इसके अंदर जो महत्वपूर्ण बात है कि एफआईआर कहां है। हम लोग 4 प्रश्न इसके बारे में पूछना चाहते हैं कि पीएमएलए के तहत सबसे पहला तो कौन सा वो अनुसूचित अपराध है, शेड्यूल्ड ऑफेंस कौन सा है जिसकी जांच ईडी ने शुरू करी है। पीएमएलए एक्ट में शेड्यूल्ड ऑफेंस उसके अंदर दिया गया है कि ये शेड्यूल्ड ऑफेंस होना चाहिए, तो वो कौन सा शेड्यूल्ड ऑफेंस है, कौन सा वो अनुसूचित अपराध है जिसके तहत ये इंक्वायरी करी जा रही है, और किस पुलिस एजेंसी ने अनुसूचित अपराध के संबंध में एफआईआर दर्ज करी है, ये तो बताएं। और तीसरा, एफआईआर कहां, क्या हमारे को किसी को एफआईआर की कॉपी अभी दिखाई है? लगातार कांग्रेस पार्टी, हमारे नेता इस चीज को पूछ रहे, कोई जवाब नहीं। और चौथा सबसे महत्वपूर्ण है, हम आपको ये बताना चाहते हैं, इनसे प्रश्न भी पूछना चाहते हैं कि क्या ये लोग जानते हैं कि अनुसूचित अपराध और एफआईआर के बगैर ईडी के पास में पीएमएलए के तहत जांच शुरू करने का कोई अधिकार नहीं। तो अगर कोई अनुसूचित अपराध नहीं, कोई एफआईआर नहीं, तो फिर वो जांच क्यों कर रहे हैं? और अगर है अनुसूचित अपराध और एफआईआर तो उसको सार्वजनिक क्यों नहीं कर रहे? सीधे सीधे हम लोग ये प्रश्न पूछना चाहते हैं। आज कांग्रेस पार्टी जंतर मंतर पर सत्याग्रह कर रही है। शाम को हम लोग 5 बजे राष्ट्रपति जी के पास जाएंगे और 2 बातें मुख्यतः लेकर के हम लोग सत्याग्रह कर रहे हैं और राष्ट्रपति जी के पास भी जाएंगे। एक, जिस तरीके से अग्निपथ स्कीम को लॉन्च किया गया है और पूरे देश के अंदर युवाओं के अंदर आक्रोश है, हमारी मांग है कि इसको स्कीम को एकदम से वापस लिया जाए, पार्लियामेंट में डिस्कस करा जाए और युवाओं को कॉन्फिडेंस में लिया जाए, बात करी जाए और उसके बाद में कोई ऐसी स्कीम लेकर के आए जो कि युवाओं से संबंधित है, सेना में भर्ती से संबंधित है। उससे पहले इसको एकदम से वापस लिया जाना चाहिए, ये हमारी मांग है। और दूसरी मांग हम लोगों की यह है कि जिस तरीके से लोकतंत्र के अंदर प्रमुख विपक्षी पार्टी के मुख्यालय पे हमला हुआ, जो हमारे चुने हुए प्रतिनिधि हैं, सांसद हैं, जिस तरीके से उनकी पुलिस ने प्रताड़ना करी है, प्रिविलेजेस कमेटी को हम लोगों ने रिक्वेस्ट करा है, स्पीकर को भी और वाइस प्रेसिडेंट को भी, कि वो इसको प्रिविलेजेस कमेटी में दे, इसकी जांच करे और राष्ट्रपति जी को हम लोग इसके बारे में भी साथ में ये बोलेंगे। अंत में एक बहुत महत्वपूर्ण बात आप लोगों को आज हम जानकारी में लेकर के आना चाहते हैं, अग्निपथ के बारे में। एक यहां पे आने से पहले किसी ने व्हाट्सएप पे भेजा, वो मैं पढ़ करके सुनाना चाहता हूं वन रैंक वन पेंशन का था वादा, ना रैंक ना पेंशन का है इरादा।
So that is the Congress's briefing on two fronts, on Rahul Gandhi being summoned by the ED and the Agnipath scheme. But Rahul Gandhi will be appearing before the ED today. Let's get you details on that, because Priyanka Gandhi, as we speak, has just reached Rahul's residence. So it's going to be a similar show of solidarity by the Gandhis that we've been seeing every single time Rahul has been summoned last week. The last 3 times when he appeared before the ED, Priyanka Gandhi accompanied him all the way to the ED office. Expect a repeat of that today as well, as Priyanka Gandhi has now reached Rahul's residence. So this is the latest update that's coming in, as India Today gets you all the details of Rahul Gandhi's questioning by the Enforcement Directorate and the 4th round of grilling that will be happening today. The Gandhis putting up, in fact, a show of solidarity, a show of unity. The Congress also has announced that they're going to be staging the satyagraha that they've been talking about the last many days as well. And they've been, in fact, hitting the streets of the national capital every single time Rahul Gandhi has been summoned by the Enforcement Directorate. Priyanka Gandhi has now reached Rahul's residence. She's been accompanying Rahul to the ED office every single time last week. So today as well, Priyanka will be there to be by her brother's side as he's grilled by the Enforcement Directorate. And let's get you all the details you need to know about Rahul Gandhi's questioning by the Enforcement Directorate. The ED so far has maintained that Rahul largely has been evasive when asked on several questions with regards to the National Herald case. We are in fact going to be seeing Rahul Gandhi being questioned on financial transactions. The Congress has already called a nationwide protest against the government over Rahul Gandhi's questioning. They've been staging several satyagrahas as well. Rahul has told the probe agency, according to ED sources last Wednesday, that late Congress leader Motilal Vora was the authorized signatory for all financial transactions between the AJL and Young Indian Private Limited that owns National Herald. Congress MLA Arun Vora, who is the son of late Motilal Vora, has referred to this as completely baseless, maintaining that he believes Rahul Gandhi cannot make such allegations against his father. Supriya Bhartwaj is joining us live from Rahul Gandhi's residence. Supriya, good morning. We understand Priyanka Gandhi just reached there moments ago. A similar show of strength by the Gandhis, by the Congress today, as Rahul is set to appear before the ED.
Well, Akshata, good morning to you and to our viewers. As far as the Rahul Gandhi's questioning on day 4 by the ED is concerned, the Congress party is once again going to stage the protest, but this time the entire epicenter has shifted from AICC headquarters to that of Jantar Mantar. Well, what we are hearing from the sources is that from 10:30 onwards, all the senior leaders of the party as well as the workers will be doing a sit-down protest at Jantar Mantar, which will be not just in connection with that of the ED questioning of Rahul Gandhi, but also in connection with the Agnipath scheme. Also, Congress party senior leader Mr. Makan will be addressing the media in a short while, and Congress will be once again putting out their side of the story as far as the entire saga of ED and Rahul Gandhi is concerned. Rahul Gandhi, where we are at the moment, near his residence, will be leaving, as per the sources, around 10:30 or so, and for the ED questioning, the ED office is just 2 kilometers away from where we are standing at the moment. Priyanka Gandhi has just reached, and Congress President Ms. Sonia Gandhi continues to be admitted in Gangaram Hospital, where she is undergoing treatment for the COVID-related complications.
Okay, so we're going to be tracking all the big updates that come in on that story. Thanks, Supriya, for the moment, for joining us with the details of what's expected as Rahul Gandhi appears for a 4th time before the Enforcement Directorate today. As we're getting you the latest updates on the protests that have rocked the country over the Agnipath scheme, the government has maintained that this is a result of misinformation, of fake news doing the rounds on this new defence recruitment scheme. With an aim to nab those who are spreading false and misleading information about the government's new defence recruitment scheme, the centre has launched an operation essentially to track false news and fake news spreaders inciting protests in several cities of the country. 35 WhatsApp groups have been banned, along with 10 people being arrested so far. The PIB has also opened a fact-check line so that anyone who has any doubts or wants some information on the Agnipath scheme can reach out. Intel agencies of all states and union territories have already been alerted. They've been told to keep a strict vigil on social media platforms to identify those who are spreading fake news, rumors about the Agnipath scheme. Amid all of these protests, the three service chiefs yesterday held a news briefing and they made it very clear that there's no question of a rollback of the Agnipath scheme. And while also clearing all of the doubts, appealing to protesters, saying if you have an opposition to the Agnipath scheme, voice it, don't resort to violence. The three service chiefs have also made it amply clear that there's no place in the forces for anyone who has a case, a legal case, a criminal case against them.
No place for rioters.
No space for no arson. Anger आप खुशी से दिखाइए, कोई problem नहीं. No वार्तालाप करिए, कोई problem नहीं. But arson, vandalism, no space. Just no space.
Agnipath will not be rolled back.
Coming to rollback of the scheme, no. And why should it be rolled back?
Aspirants are being provoked.
अब इनको उकसारा कौन था? दो किस्म के लोग थे. एक इनमिकल एलिमेंट्स, दूसरे कोचिंग इंस्टीट्यूशन जो चला रहे थे.
The armed forces are sending a big message on the Agnipath scheme, quelling all doubts and asserting that the Agnipath, which will be the only source of intake into the armed forces from now on, will not be rolled back.
Coming to rollback of the scheme, no. And why should it be rolled back? It is the only progressive step to make the country young. Why is it being made young? You know, we are tinkering with Desh ki Raksha. There is no space.
As the storm and violence rages on, the forces sent a big warning that there is no place for arsonists and rioters in the armed forces. And those indulging in violence will lose out.
भारतीय सेना के फाउंडेशन है डिसिप्लिन. नो स्पेस. नो स्पेस फॉर नो आर्सन. एंगर आप खुशी से दिखाइए, कोई प्रॉब्लम नहीं है. नो वार्तालाप करिए, कोई प्रॉब्लम नहीं. बट आर्सन, वैंडलिज्म, नो स्पेस.
Triforce has added that Agnipath is a much-needed reform to make the armed forces younger and meaner to fight future wars.
आगे आने वाली जो लड़ाई है वो अलग किस्म की होगी, टेक्नोलॉजिकली savvy होगी. अगर वो टेक्नोलॉजिकली savvy होगी तो उसके लिए अलग किस्म के लोग चाहिए. और वो कौन सा किस्म है? हमारा यूथ.
While inaugurating a tunnel in Delhi, Prime Minister Narendra Modi also took a jibe at those who habitually create hindrances.
और हमारे देश में ऐसे कुछ भी काम करो तो जुडिशरी के दरवाजे खटखटाने वाले लोगों की भी कमी नहीं है. हर चीज में अड़ंगे डालने वाले होते ही है. अनेक मुसीबतें पैदा होती हैं देश को आगे ले जाने में.
The armed forces are meanwhile gearing up to recruit the very first Agniveers. The recruitment process will get underway on 24th June. Phase 1 online examination will start on 24th July. The first batch would be enrolled by December and training will commence by 30th December. As the anger mounts over the new government scheme, will the armed forces' messages be enough to douse the anti-Agnipath fire? Bureau Report, India Today.
Now, the government has maintained that these protests have been fueled by opposition parties and that these weren't army aspirants on the streets, but political opponents, political rivals who were staging these violent protests. And in Uttar Pradesh, while cracking down on the agitations and the source of it, a person called Bharat Bandh has been taken into custody, who is a district president of the Congress's local unit. It's led to a political war of words as the BJP has pointed to this to say that here's evidence that all of this is being politically fueled.
Rioting, arson, vandalism, hooliganism. States are witnessing the ire of armed forces aspirants since the announcement of Agnipath scheme. While many aspirants are genuinely angry, is there a political plot underway to stoke violence? There are instances where opposition leaders have been arrested for posing as military aspirants and stoking violence. UP cops have arrested 5 fake army aspirants for allegedly provoking actual army aspirants to protest against the Agnipath scheme. Cops say they posed as an army aspirant and provoked violence.
फेक आर्मी एस्पिरेंट्स को गिरफ्तार किया है। इसमें से 2 लोग विभिन्न पॉलिटिकल पार्टीज के पदाधिकारी हैं और बाकी लोग भी मेंबर्स हैं। ये लोग एक्चुअल आर्मी एस्पिरेंट्स को प्रोटेस्ट करने के लिए, एजिटेट करने के लिए प्रोवोक कर रहे थे और भड़का रहे थे।
Congress has rejected all the charges, saying its workers are being framed.
पूरे देश भर में NSUI जो है इसके खिलाफ शांतिपूर्वक उनके साथ प्रदर्शन कर रही है और वहीं भाजपा के इशारों पे उनकी पुलिस जो है वहां पे हमारे साथियों को जो है वो फेक केसेस डालकर जो है वो अंदर करने का काम कर रही है।
प्रधानमंत्री अपने खून पसीने से 24 घंटे काम करके रिफॉर्म, परफॉर्म और ट्रांसफॉर्म के पथ पर चलते हैं, अग्निपथ पर चलते हैं, ताकि हमारा देश आगे बढ़ सके, मेरा भारत महान बन सके। तो मुझे तकलीफ इस बात की होती है, इस राष्ट्र नीति को कुछ लोग हजम नहीं कर पाते हैं, इस पर भी राजनीति करते हैं।
BJP saw a clear Congress role in the Agnipath violence. Its IT cell chief Amit Malviya has alleged the Congress link behind Agnipath stir. He took to Twitter and shared a video of Congress leader Rahul Gandhi, where he's seen predicting हिंदुस्तान में आग लगेगी, हिंदुस्तान में आग लगेगी, और India will burn in the recent Congress चिंतन शिविर।
अभी ये लड़ाई शुरू हुई, आने वाले समय में आपको दिखेगा हिंदुस्तान में आग लगेगी, हिंदुस्तान में आग लगेगी।
Congress has hit back at BJP saying protests are taking place because of the anger of army aspirants.
राहुल गांधी ने जब नोटबंदी हुई तब भी इन्होंने कहा था कि देश का जो है बहुत ही इकोनॉमी खराब होगी। जब इन्होंने नोटबंदी करी उसके बाद इन्होंने जो आप सब जानते हैं किस तरीके से लोगों के साथ जो व्यवहार किया इन लोगों ने, तो लोगों में रोष ही ऑटोमेटिक हुआ है, कोई राहुल गांधी जी के कहने से नहीं हुआ है।
Several Bihar, Telangana and MP coaching centers are also under scanner for organizing violence. Cops have proof that many coaching centers brainwashed youth into rioting.
इन लोगों ने तोड़फोड़ मचाई उपद्रवियों ने, तो उनके जब हमने मोबाइल चेक किए तो कई जो फिजिकल कोचिंग संस्थान हैं जो इसकी ट्रेनिंग देते हैं, उन लोगों ने जो है एक ग्रुप बनाया था, उसमें सर्कुलेशन किया था कि सब लोग इकट्ठे हो जाएं। हम लोगों ने इसलिए एक कोचिंग संस्थान के मालिक पे आज FIR भी हो गई है और वो फरार हैं, उन पे इनाम भी घोषित होने जा रहा है।
Are vested interests hijacking the Agniveer protest? Bureau Report, India Today.
And the protests will continue today as well, as several political parties have now jumped into the fray, expressing their opposition to the Agnipath scheme. The Congress has been leading from the front as far as these agitations are concerned. After staging a protest yesterday, today also Congress leaders will be hitting the streets. Yesterday, led by Priyanka Gandhi Vadra, Congress leaders were seen staging a satyagraha, a peaceful protest demanding a rollback of the scheme. Today, a Congress delegation will be meeting President Ramnath Kovind. They're going to be expressing their opposition to the Agnipath scheme also in that meeting. Prohibitory orders have been imposed in parts of Delhi to ensure there is no sort of agitation or violence that breaks out. In Bihar, speculation is rife that there could be another protest today after Bihar Chief Minister Nitish Kumar cancelled his Janta Darbar.
प्रियंका वाड्रा जी ने एक ही विषय रखा है। उन्होंने कहा है कि हमारा एक ही मकसद है और मैं युवाओं से अपील करती हूं कि वो एक ही मकसद के साथ काम करें और वो मकसद है सरकार को गिराना, सरकार को खत्म करना। मकसद युवक नहीं है, मकसद सेना नहीं है, मकसद सरकार को गिराना है, मकसद सरकार को खत्म, उन्होंने कहा सरकार को खत्म कर देना है।
अग्निपथ वापस लो, सरकार से मांग करते हैं अविलंब इसको किया जाए वापस। किसान आंदोलन की तरह नहीं कि 1 साल तक आप अपने राजहट में, बालहट में उस योजना को लिए बैठे रह जाएं, जो योजना ना देश हित में है, यह अग्निपथ योजना ना देश की सुरक्षा के हित में है, ना देश के सैनिक के हित में है, ना देश के नौजवान के हित में है। इस योजना को तुरंत प्रभाव से वापस लिया जाए, मैं मांग करता हूं सरकार से।
The onus is on the Prime Minister because all his master strokes have hurt India, whether it's demonetization, whether it's the farm laws, whether it's the implementation of GST, and now Agnipath schemes. I don't know why he ensures or pushes through his agenda without due consultations from stakeholders or with the experts.
So we just played out a number of political reactions for you there, many of whom have said that the need of the hour is to roll back the Agnipath scheme. And that's why you're going to be seeing political parties also hitting the streets to put pressure on the government. Even as we've been seeing several youngsters also voicing their opposition, the Congress has said that they will in fact lead the fight against Agnipath. Several leaders have also targeted BJP with the remarks that have been made by some of their leaders, including Kailash Vijayvargiya and Kishan Reddy. Vijayvargiya made a comment saying that BJP offers security jobs are available for Agniveers. Delhi Chief Minister Arvind Kejriwal has latched onto that, saying that the BJP should not insult the youth and the army. Owaisi also cornered the government over this Chaukidar remark. You had Kishan Reddy also making a similar comment that was deemed as an insult to Agniveer.
Drivers వేరే ఉంటారు, electricians వేరే ఉంటారు, అందులో బట్టలు ఉతికే వాళ్ళు వేరే ఉంటారు.
This is Union Tourism Minister G. Kishan Reddy's remark on those who will quit the armed forces as Agniveers. The Union Minister said once the Agniveers finish their stint with the armed forces, they can utilize their skill acquired in the forces to serve as drivers, electricians, barbers and thousands of other positions which the military trains them for.
వాళ్ళందరికీ స్కిల్లింగ్ నేర్పుతాము, వాళ్ళందరూ కూడా స్కిల్లింగ్ నేర్పి స్కిల్ ఇంట్రెస్ట్ లేని వాళ్ళు అంత పని చేయొచ్చు. ఇళ్ళ కూడా నేర్పుతాం, ఇప్పుడు మీ ఇళ్ళ కూడా నేర్పడం తప్పు కాదు కదా, వేరే ఉండొచ్చు, మాత్రం ఇళ్ళ నేర్పకూడదు రూల్ ఏమైనా ఉందా? దీంట్లో రకరకాలుగా ఉంటాయండి. ఇందులో మిలిటరీలో కూడా డ్రైవర్స్ వేరే ఉంటారు, ఎలక్ట్రీషియన్స్ వేరే ఉంటారు, అందులో బట్టలు ఉతికే వాళ్ళు వేరే ఉంటారు, లేకపోతే మరి మన హెయిర్ కటింగ్ చేసే వాళ్ళు ఉంటారు. ఈ రకంగా వేల పోస్టులు ఉంటాయి, అందులో కొంతమంది అందులో కూడా ఉపయోగపడుతుంది.
Opposition slammed Kishan Reddy's remark, calling it an insult to the Agniveers, adding that such statement will create more confusion among the aspirants.
The government of India and the cabinet ministers of Honorable Prime Minister Modi ji should first communicate the Agnipath scheme, which is disaster and continues to be a confusion across the nation. We demand them to roll back the scheme before first Modi ji and his own cabinet understand what the scheme is about.
Rajya Sabha Member of Parliament and Shiv Sena leader Priyanka Chaturvedi slammed Reddy's Agnipath remark. Priyanka Chaturvedi questioned how can the armed forces become a training ground for skilled labour force for the nation under the Agnipath scheme. Not just Kishan Reddy, but BJP's National General Secretary Kailash Vijayvargiya also found himself facing the wrath for belittling the role of Agniveers by offering them a position of security guards at the BJP office.
मुझे अगर इस ऑफिस में, बीजेपी के ऑफिस में सिक्योरिटी रखना है तो मैं अग्निवीर को प्राथमिकता दूंगा.
Bharatiya Janata Party Member of Parliament Rahul Gandhi slammed Kailash Vijayvargiya's invitation to Agniveers to do Chaukidari, saying Indian Armed Forces is a medium of service to Mother India, not just a job. The AIMIM chief also took a jibe at Vijayvargiya's remark, saying how can Agniveers with a 4-year contract with the armed forces become just a watchman?
जो पॉलिसी भाजपा ने बनाई है कि फौज में भर्ती के लिए, एयरफोर्स और नेवी में भर्ती के लिए देश के प्रधानमंत्री ने कहा कि 4 साल काम करो,
The BJP leader's controversial remarks on the Agniveers come amid nationwide protests against government at the centre's new military's hiring scheme over the past several days. Are the BJP netas with little understanding of the scheme fanning further unrest with such insensitive remarks? Bureau Report, India Today.
Here on India Today, we've been getting you details about the investigation into singer Sidhu Moosewala's murder. And here's a big revelation that's emerged. The murderers of Moosewala were also planning to target Karan Johar and issue an extortion threat to the filmmaker. This was revealed by Mahakal, a close aide of gangster Lawrence Bishnoi, who was taken into custody. Saurabh Mahakal, who was arrested by the Pune police, has made many claims in the interrogation. One is that filmmaker Karan Johar was also on the radar of the Lawrence Bishnoi gang. This claim is yet to be verified by the police. Mahakal has claimed that the plan was to extort 5 crore rupees from Karan Johar. And as per the police, it's possible that Mahakal was also attempting to mislead the police. So they're looking into it at this point. The same aide of Lawrence Bishnoi had earlier claimed that 3 accused had come to Mumbai to issue a threat to Salman Khan. But when Mumbai police verified these claims, it found that all the 3 accused that he had named are in jail for the last 6 months. Mustafa Sheikh is joining us live with more details on this. Mustafa, what really has the police had to say about this big claim that Mahakal has made, that Karan Johar was also on target? He made a similar claim about the death threat that was issued to Salman Khan, which it was found to be false.
Well, yes, what the police investigations have found is that these accused are a tough nut to crack. They are making some claims which then the police have to verify. What in the case of Karan Johar, though Saurabh Mahakal has said that there was a plan to extort about 5 crore rupees from him, but the Mumbai police had said that there was no threat received to Karan Johar, and they are verifying the claim as to if they were planning to extort money from filmmaker Karan Johar. What is it that they had done, whether a threat call or any noting or any instructions which were given. So the police is verifying. Pune police is also saying that Mahakal, not only Karan Johar, he has named many bigwigs that they were on the extortion list of Bishnoi gang, but they are verifying their claims because in the case of Salman Khan, they had said that there were 3 people who had come to Mumbai to give a threat letter, but those people were already in jail. So the police is trying to verify the claims which have been made by Saurabh Mahakal. Back to you.
Is there any sort of threat, etc., that was issued to Karan Johar on this, Mustafa, on an extortion bid of Karan Johar?
Well, the Mumbai police as of now has found no such details that any threat or any such call was made to Karan Johar. Karan Johar had not called or informed the police about any such threat. They are still verifying the details as to what were the things. It may be possible that Karan Johar's statement may be recorded if any threat he had received or any person on social media had threatened him. So these are details which the police is trying to get. But as of now, with the available details, there was no such threat which was issued to Karan Johar in the recent years. Back to you.
Okay, Mustafa, thank you for joining us with all of those details. Now, even as there's a petition currently in the Supreme Court seeking the marriageable age for men and women to be the same slab, a single judge bench of the Punjab and Haryana High Court has upheld marriage of minor Muslim girls. Justice Jasjit Singh Bedi has said that Muslim girls, once they attain the age of 16, can marry as per Islamic rules. The judge has in fact cited Shariat law, which says that Muslim girls are considered adults once they develop secondary sexual characters, and thereby the judge has given protection to a couple comprising of an adult Muslim man and a Muslim girl at the age of 16. Anisha Mathur is joining us live with more details on this. Anisha, this is going to start off a big debate because this judge, while passing this order, has essentially cited Shariat law.
Well, Akshata, we must remember that as far as personal law is concerned in India, personal law still is followed for the various, for different religions. Now, there is a dichotomy here because the Prohibition of Child Marriage Act specially says that you cannot marry off a child of under 18 years of age. However, this is not the first time such a pronouncement, such a verdict has come. if the girl is over 16 years of age, there have been multiple instances, particularly when the couple in question is from the Muslim faith, that the courts have upheld the choice of marriage, and they have said that in a case where a couple has married out of their own choice, where the girl is over 16, that is, she's has attained puberty as far as the Muslim personal law is concerned, therefore the courts have allowed those couples to stay together. And in this case also the court has said that since the couple has claimed that they have got married of their own free will, the girl is over 16 years of age, therefore the police has been asked to give them protection, because the couple had gone to the court saying that they are under threat. Now yes, this does open up the larger debate of protection of children against sexual predators. It opens up the larger debate of why is it that this kind of personal law is used as far as marriage and divorce is concerned. But it is a fact that in the country, as far as marriage and divorce is concerned, personal laws still apply. Of course, there is a petition pending in the Supreme Court saying that there must be a uniform age of marriage. More importantly, to protect women, especially young underage girls, from being exploited, from being placed under some sort of such kind of relationship. But at the moment the law stands, this kind of marriage is valid.
There is going to be a debate, but as Anisha pointed out, personal law still exists in India. There is no uniform civil code. The petition in Supreme Court for the same marriageable age for men and women is still pending, which is why this order has come in from that single judge bench. Thanks, Anisha, for those details. And let's get you the latest images of the commuting nightmare this Monday morning for residents in Gurugram. Look at those images on your screen. So of the massive traffic snarls that have been reported in the Gurugram-Delhi border. This is the result of the Bharat Bandh crossfire because of traffic jams that have been reported with barricades being set up on these roads. This comes after intel input suggested the protesters could try to make their way into the national capital, and that's why these barricades have been put up across roads along Delhi's borders. This is a result of the protests that are planned over Agniveer as well as Rahul's questioning by the Enforcement Directorate. Several key arterial roads in the national capital have been shut down, all entry points into Delhi. There has been also a lot of barricading, as a result of which you're seeing massive traffic snarls being reported in Gurugram. This is along the Delhi-Gurugram border, where you see people, commuters, trying to make their way to their offices this Monday morning, facing a nightmare. Every single time there's these kind of agitations, these kind of protests, this kind of politics, it's the common man that suffers. And on your screens you can see what rush hour currently looks like. Unprecedented traffic along the Delhi-Gurugram border as commuters are trying to make their way to their offices this morning. They're stuck in this massive traffic snarl. The reason for this is because of heavy barricading that's been reported along the Gurugram-Delhi border, even along the Delhi-Noida direct flyway. There are barricades that have been put up, and it's leading to a lot of inconvenience for commuters. This is because of several inputs suggesting that there is a likelihood of protesters trying to storm into the national capital. So to stop these miscreants from entering, you can see that a lot of barricading has been put up, leading to these kind of massive kilometers long traffic snarls early this Monday morning. So this is a result of the politics, the protests that we've been seeing over Agniveer, as well as over the questioning of Rahul Gandhi. As Congress workers have also announced protests, Delhi police has closed down some of the main roads, some of the arterial roads in the national capital. That's not helped the situation either. Adding to that is the fact that almost all entry points into the national capital are currently being closed up with barricades. They are open, but there is additional screening of every single vehicle that goes in. And in peak hour, when there's a lot more traffic on the roads, it's leading to endless problems for commuters. This is along the Delhi-Gurugram road, as the traffic that's trying to enter into the national capital has been stalled. Shreya Chatterjee is joining us with more details on this. Shreya, every single time there is a protest that's planned, it's the common man that suffers. Monday morning, rush hour, people stuck out there on the roads for hours together, we're being told.
Well, absolutely so, Akshita, and that's the same thing that even I faced today while I was traveling through the stretch. And you know, if you see those areas when it comes to probably the Dholakua region and the region where it is the Noida and the Delhi border, the DND sector, it is absolutely jam-packed. The reason simple, which is on the visuals, the kind of barricading the Delhi police has done. They've literally turned the entire capital into a fortress right now. And the reason is that there was an input, there was an alert that there's a possibility of people crossing the borders around the NCR region, say Haryana and UP, and they would come over here in the capital to protest. So that is the reason. The Delhi police has also capped the number of people at Jantar Mantar to 1,000. Not more than 1,000 people can actually join the protest at Jantar Mantar. So the security measures that has been adopted by the Delhi police has become a problem for the common man. Whoever is travelling today, be it the Gurgaon belt, be it the Noida belt, it is an extremely difficult situation because either the roads are closed, either there are multiple barricading leading to a complete traffic menace in the national capital today.
Okay, so Shreya getting us details of also the kind of barricading that's been put up across the national capital. Shreya, we're also being told that in several arterial roads, some of the key roads in the heart of Delhi, they've been closed up right now this Monday morning because of protests that are planned by the Congress as well.
Well, absolutely. That's exactly what's happening. For example, if we talk about the Dholakua belt, as I was mentioning earlier, you know, because that connects directly when anyone is entering the national capital, it connects to the central Delhi zone. We're seeing that there are multiple checkpoints. There are certain points that are extremely, closer to the Jantar Mantar region. That's also been shut down to actually avoid, fueling of crowd in the Jantar Mantar region. But, you know, that's also had an adverse effect so far as the traffic is concerned, as you were rightly pointing it out, leading to multiple barricades, leading to multiple roads being shut down. The people are also, stuck in a to and fro maze, which is, creating a traffic logjam. It will be interesting to see whether Delhi police actually continues to keep ahead with this security apparatus in place, because to be mentioned, Akshita, this is not just for the Agniveer protest, because remember, when Rahul Gandhi was questioned last time in the enforcement directorate, there were tires that were burned. So the Delhi police was trying to be extra cautious, but they being extra cautious, somewhere down the line it's costing the normal public. We'll have to wait and watch that whether the security apparatus continues through the day. But so far, it's an extremely difficult situation in the national capital.
Shreya, just stay on with me. It's not just along the Gurugram-Delhi border that we're seeing this kind of barricading, these kind of traffic snarls as you see on your screens. Let's get you a report now from the Delhi-Noida direct flyway, where again, there's been, in fact, barricading that's been put up. Here's a report by Varun Sinha.
अग्निपथ की वजह से लगातार देश भर में प्रदर्शन हो रहे हैं और ऐसे में फिलहाल नोएडा में इस समय मैं हूं और डीएनडी पर आप देख सकते हैं जो दिल्ली और नोएडा का बॉर्डर है वहां पर किस प्रकार के सिक्योरिटी अरेंजमेंट को बढ़ाया गया है आप देखेंगे तो फिलहाल यहां पर आपको 3 लेयर सिक्योरिटी नजर आ रही होगी। लगातार जो सुरक्षा बल हैं, दिल्ली पुलिस के जवान हैं और साथ साथ पैरामिलिट्री फोर्सेस के लोग हैं यहां पर तैनात कर दिए गए हैं। ये स्थिति एक तरफ है, इसके अलावा चिल्ला बॉर्डर की तरफ भी जो है, गाजीपुर बॉर्डर की तरफ, वहां भी लगातार जो है वो दिल्ली नोएडा के जो बॉर्डर्स हैं उन पर लगातार सुरक्षा को ज्यादा बढ़ाया गया है। और इस प्रकार की स्थिति अगर होती है, मान लीजिए प्रदर्शन यहां पर होता है, तो ऐसी परिस्थिति में किसी प्रकार से यातायात प्रभावित ना हो, ऐसी हालात को ध्यान में रखते हुए लगातार जो है वो सिक्योरिटी डिप्लॉयमेंट किया गया। आप देख सकते हैं कि लगातार यहां पर जो स्थिति है उसको मैं आपको दिखाने का प्रयास कर रहा हूं। इस समय 3 लेयर सिक्योरिटी आपको नजर आ रही होगी। आमतौर पर ये सब की सब जो है वो आपको खुला हुआ नजर आता है, लेकिन इस समय फिलहाल केवल 3 जो गेट्स हैं डीएनडी से दिल्ली की तरफ जाने वाले वो इस समय ओपन किए गए हैं। बाकी के जो 2 गेट्स हैं उनको यहां पर बंद किया गया है। स्पष्ट है कि जो हालात नजर आ रहे हैं देश भर के अंदर, जिस प्रकार से प्रदर्शन हो रहे हैं, ऐसी परिस्थिति को ध्यान में रखकर निश्चित तौर पर ऐसे हालात अगर बनते हैं और प्रदर्शन नोएडा या फिर दिल्ली बॉर्डर पर होता है तो ऐसी स्थिति को ध्यान में रखते हुए लगातार सुरक्षा को और ज्यादा बढ़ाया गया है। कैमरा पर्सन दीपक विश्व के साथ वरुण सिन्हा, आज तक।
So for all the Delhiites watching this broadcast, all those of you who plan to commute into Delhi as well, let's get you details of the advisory that's been put out by the Delhi police on the roads to avoid this morning. Several of them have also been closed down right now. Patel Chowk in the national capital, in the heart of Delhi, has been closed down. Teen Murti Chowk also at this point, according to the Delhi police, was closed down in anticipation of protests Motilal Nehru Marg at this point also has been blocked off. There are barricades that have been put on Akbar Road. You see, all of this is around central Delhi. Janpath also, because Akbar Road, Janpath is where the Congress protests could happen. That's when anticipation of that, these areas have been closed. Windsor Place also, again in central Delhi, closed down. These are the areas to avoid. These roads have been closed down temporarily by the Delhi police. Their advisory states to use alternate roads at this point to commute. We'll continue getting you all the latest details of the traffic nightmare in Delhi and much more on the Agnipath protests. That's it from me. Thanks very much for tuning in.